Hello, my name's Owen, trail name at home, and today we're going to talk about the Eastern Continental Trail, kind of experiences I had on that hike, as well as the gear that I brought and how I packed it. So the ECT, or Eastern Continental Trail, is a combination of routes all put together. Our variation of it, the distance between between Key West and Cape Gaspé in Quebec, that was about 4,800 miles. If you add on Prince Edward Island and Newfoundland section, I think that drops you around 5,600 miles. Roughly speaking, it runs from Key West down in the south, southernmost point of the continental U.S., up through and into Canada a little bit. It starts in the Florida Keys with a road walk to get you back to the mainland. And then some more road walking gets you to the start of the Florida Trail. You take the Florida Trail up pretty much to Alabama, get on a road walk, which takes you to the southern terminus of the Pinoti Trail at Flag Mountain, which is actually kind of a cool spot. It's the geographical end of the Appalachian Mountains. Follow that to the end, you hop on the Benton-MacKaye Trail for 70 miles. That connects you to the southern terminus of the Appalachian Trail, Springer Mountain. And then you're done thinking for a little bit. You get to ride the AT all the way north to Katahdin. You keep going over it along the Knife's Edge, drops you into the kind of northern Maine, the woods up there, which is pretty remote and rugged, but it's not so bad. You hop on ATV roads and paved roads. You follow those up to Canada. You cross the border into New Brunswick, and you're following ATV roads for almost 200 miles until you reach Quebec, and then you hop on a kind of a more established route, the GRA1, which is about 400 miles through Quebec. Gets you to this really cool spot, Fort Yonne National Park, which is kind of this peninsula out in the middle of the nowhere in between the St. Lawrence River and the Atlantic. That's actually where my partner and I ended our hike. That was our northern terminus. You can actually go a little bit further from there if you so choose. You hop on a boat that gets you to Prince Edward Island, then you hop on another boat. You head up to Newfoundland. As far as I know, it's pretty much all road walking from there, but it's about 700, 800 miles further north than we hiked. Generally, people will hike it straight northbound. The way my partner and I did it was a little bit flip-floppy. So I actually started this whole thing at Springer Mountain, the southern terminus of the Appalachian Trail. I started there mid-February and hiked northbound all the way along the AT. My partner Spice Rack, she joined me at Katahdin, and we kept hiking north from there all the way up to Cape Gaspé in Quebec, at which point we flipped back south. Spice Rack got on the AT Sobo. We met up again at Springer Mountain around Thanksgiving and hiked on the Benton-MacKaye Trail and the Pinoti Trail, and just hiked south from there to the end of the ECT down in Key West. So, the way we did it was fine. That worked out well for us. However, it's probably not, the sexiest option. It wasn't our plan originally. So typically, and it's weird to say typically because I feel like not too many people do this, and everybody does it a little bit differently. But, 9 months is plenty of time. If you're starting in January, down in Key West, I think 9 months gives you enough time to get up through Quebec before any real cold weather hits. And then if you're going southbound, you're a little bit limited about when you can start because the national parks, they open, I think, in July. So that'll kind of limit your start date, even if there's not so much snow. The ECT is different from other long through hikes, how long it is and the weather window being a little bit wider. But because so much of this trail or this route is in the southern portion of the United States, that really provides a lot of flexibility. You can hike pretty much year round on the ECT, which is great. If you find yourself running into a weather window somewhere, there's somewhere else you can go. The ECT interested me mostly because I was afraid of hiking the Appalachian Trail. Coming from the West Coast, having hiked the PCT and CDT already, loving the mountains more than anything, being above tree line. The AT kind of really didn't appeal to me too much. So it seemed cool to wrap it up into something larger. And also at this point, in my career, through hiking career, kind of upping the ante a little bit appealed to me as well. I knew I could hike 2,000 miles. I didn't know I could do it on the AT. I was still worried about that. But, if I'm going out to the East Coast, why start at Springer and go and stop at Katahdin. There's this whole other route that it's a part of. It just appealed to me to see different landscapes, try to see my limit, try to find that. Can I hike? I've never hiked 4,800 miles before. What does that feel like? The challenge is part of it. I like the physical challenge. I like the mental challenge. It's just staying curious about what's next always pulls me through. And, just knowing that, things are temporary. The good is temporary. The bad's temporary. And it's all kind of part of the experience. If it were easy and fun all the time, I don't think I would do it. Oftentimes it's not fun. There are fun moments every day. There are beautiful moments every day. Things that make it worth doing every day. But, you can't rely on those to carry you through. There needs to be kind of some deeper curiosity about yourself. Can you do it? Or even just what you're walking through, what you want to see. And for me, that's different landscapes. I loved the East Coast because it was so different. From a social perspective, the ECT was one of the quietest trails I've ever hiked, kind of by a long shot. That was good for me. I prefer kind of hiking away from crowds. I'm not hugely social on trails. Like, it's fun to have good friends, but I'm an introvert. I'm terrible at making friends, so it's easier to not make friends. I started the AT mid-February, so kind of before things kicked off for the most part. So I had a really quiet experience on the AT, something I really enjoyed. There's always flip-floppers and day hikers out there. I was never alone, but I didn't have to worry about finding places to camp and stuff like that. And then, beyond the AT, there's hardly anybody out there, hiking on roads through northern Maine. Forget it. No one's hiking out there. There's a little bit more of a trail community in Quebec because that's kind of its own route. We didn't see anybody on the Benton Mackay. We saw a couple people on the Pinoti Trail going Nobo, so no one to hike around. And the Florida Trail, we started to see some people again. The ECT definitely gave me a solitary experience when I wanted it. Fortunately, I had Spice Rack, so I wasn't completely alone on the quietest portions of the trail. That might be tough for people, for sure. I would absolutely recommend the ECT to the right person. I think if, it takes the right knowledge and honestly the right privilege to be able to take 9 months off and to be able to live on trail without income for that long. That's certainly a major consideration, potentially a major barrier to someone hiking the whole thing. But yeah, I think it's absolutely worth it. Connecting the ocean in the south, like the Gulf of Mexico, to the St. Lawrence River in the north, there's just something there's something to that no other trail has that I've hiked. When you're hiking ocean to ocean, bounded by like geology and water, like that's pretty cool. And that's just a feeling that I think is worth striving for if you have the time and the resources to make it happen. The whole point of hiking a trail that's kind of this long is to figure out, what you didn't expect. No trail is beautiful all the way through. There's no 100% highlight reel trail at this length. I was really not stoked to hike the Florida Trail, and I only did because it was part of the ECT. And I'm really glad I did because it was a total highlight. It was exactly what I needed. And that's cool. I think that was one of the great lessons from hiking the ECT is that you can learn to appreciate all parts of things, the good and the bad. It all has value as long as you have the kind of the bandwidth to think about it that way. And not to say I'm like some totally Zen guru or anything. Like, there were still terrible parts that I hated, absolutely hated. And in hindsight, I still hated them. But it was worth it.